The beginning is a very delicate time.
But who cares about that? Let's talk about Frankenstein. This video is the start of my Halloween horror movie reviews, and through the month of October I'll be going through 3 of the very first horror films. Technically there was one older than Frankenstein called Le Mania du Diable, or The Haunted Castle, but there's not really much to talk about other than some really rad special effects for 1896. Anyway, on to Frankenstein. Frankenstein is a 1910 film directed by J. Searle Dawley and starring Augustus Phillips as Frankenstein and Charles Ogle as the monster. The film was produced by Thomas Edison, who also produced The Phonograph and The Light Bulb. The film runs about 12 minutes long and is surprisingly not bad for a movie made 114 years ago. The plot of the movie follows the book surprisingly well, but only for the first 5 minutes. Frankenstein leaves to go to school, and 2 years later, he has discovered the mystery of life. In the book, the idea of the mystery of life was never really elaborated on because Frankenstein, who's the narrator for the book, doesn't want the secret spilling out to anyone, which kind of makes sense. But the commonly accepted idea now, because of the 1930 movie, is electricity brings the monster to life, and that wasn't around really in 1910. So the monster comes to life in a demonic hot tub, which is pretty metal. Here's a clip. These effects were done by putting a big dummy in a big pot and burning it, then reversing the footage. Anyway, Frankenstein is shocked by what he has done, so he leaves, goes to bed, and through the curtain in his bed comes the monster, who certainly looks unique. Yeah, definitely different. Usually the monster has big square head and bolts coming out of his neck, and in the book he was described as having long black hair and yellow skin that was barely holding on to the bones. In this, he looks like this. Frankenstein falls out of his bed and faints, and then who I'm assuming is supposed to be Henry Clerval from the book comes by and helps him up. Later on, he goes back home, visits his sweetheart again, and then goes and sits in the library. As he sits in the library, he watches the mirror. Suddenly the monster comes in, and, well, Frankenstein tells him to hide behind a curtain so that his sweetheart doesn't see the monster. Make sense? When the monster comes out of the curtain, he sees his own reflection for the first time, and obviously he is spooked, so he runs away. Later on, Frankenstein gets married to his sweetheart, and the monster has to be there to ruin it right after the wedding party. After a little bit of a brawl, they go back into the library. Frankenstein's monster looks into the mirror again and dies, leaving just his reflection behind. Honestly, I don't know what they were thinking. Frankenstein comes in, looks in the mirror, sees the monster's reflection. It fades away also in this kind of poetic shot. If you're into that sort of stuff, I don't know. It's just weird. Then the movie ends. Yeah. Overall, this movie's pretty good. Definitely different from other adaptations. After this one, there were two more adaptations before the big Universal one with Boris Karloff that everyone knows about, but both of those versions in between are completely lost. This movie was lost for quite a while, actually, and was only refound in 1970